How many feet do you have? Because you can't keep shooting yourself in the foot like that. 827. That being said, let's go with someone who has no problem coming on the link routinely, weekly, in fact. Wednesdays, our standing appointment with Superintendent John Fernandez. Let me just give a little room to breathe, John, because I don't want it to turn into he came on right after Chris chewed out the governor. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good morning, John.
Hey, good morning. I was actually still thinking about the Hallmark television discussion you were having. So that was that was
Nice
keeping me
redirect.
entertained.
Right. So,
You're absolutely right. I mean, it's like big city, guy, girl goes to the country for the holidays. This is falls in love, now has to make a big decision. And I think that's pretty much Christmas in July, is that whole segment season for you. So,
Ah, so you know.
yeah, of course he does. She's married.
hey, it's a COVID-19, quarantine channel. I think is what it's been for for us.
But you're still working and you're still,
Oh,
navigating this pandemic. So bring us up to speed with, I guess, what is the progress report for GDOE?
well, we were able to give an update to the board last night, but basically we just said, look, we know we had a lot of planning going on. We went through a lot of community outreach. We had an implementation ready to go, but you can't predict everything, and you can't even predict it within the course of a few days. So we were ready to go, starting out with 3 models of learning, including face-to-face instruction, beginning August 17th. Obviously, we went back to P-Core 1, so that became that fell off the board, and we're working to move everybody to either hard copy or online. But then in the what we're calling internally our Super P-Core 1, we couldn't even do the hard copy distribution at least until we get clearance from public health. So we had to suspend that and get back to the drawing board. And so right now, over the weekend, we reassessed where we were, and we reassessed our commitment and our mission to help our kids continue with some form of education, and to do it in a continuous and stable way. And so one of the things that we're working on right now is to accelerate the plans we had for expanding online learning. What that means for us is going into every school, pulling out every student laptop, and work on a distribution plan, beginning with what we're going to look to do is begin with our high school and middle school students. So we know over the past few years, we purchased laptops and mobile carts and tablets, really to support the students in school and to share amongst the classes and so forth. At this point, if online is going to be the primary option, and maybe for the foreseeable weeks, then we need to accelerate that. So we've got a 2-week plan to collect the inventory, work on aligning our activities and putting together an accountability plan. But our goal is to try to get those laptops into the hands of our high school and middle school students as much as possible, who are not online already, to see what we can do to expand the online model and make that work for our older students. As we get new equipment in, then we will continue to expand even further, so long as we are in a situation where we are at a point where we're shut down as an island. We can't do this every week and keep changing every week, every other week. So we're going to have to make a decision at some point as to how we plan to provide a continuous, stable learning environment for our kids, and that's where we are. So we expect it to be very, this year to be very unpredictable. We expected to see some of this happen, but maybe on a school by school basis. But for the whole district to be closed to our employees and our kids, that's really forcing us to get back to the drawing board. And what I'm happy about is we've got a team that's ready to keep looking for solutions.
John, can we just real quick touch on, because I know you had mentioned this when we eliminated the face-to-face option, contacting parents of students who have yet to connect with the department about whether it's the hard copy pickup or online. Where are we with that? And again, we're putting out the call. Parents, where are you at?
Well, we brought that number down, probably from about 4,000 to about 2,500 over the course of last week. Yesterday, in our board meeting, we also discussed, we had Mayor Savaras there as our Mayor's Council representative, and we discussed our next steps, which really is to go to the mayors with the list of students that we can't contact and working with them to go out and find these families, update that contact information, and get them into into school basically. I mean, of course, one of the challenges right now is the public health situation, but we're going to do what we can to work with the mayor's offices to make that contact happen. So I know from what the mayors are saying, they are continuing to work, even though they're not open to the public. So they're willing and able to take on the lists right away and start helping us identify those families. I believe they've done that already on a limited basis with some schools who were a little bit ahead of the curve and reached out to the mayors early and have been successful in that effort. I think just reaching out and updating the contact information by going out to the families, that's proven to at least identify some of the families that we've had on our list.
I'm going to just go ahead and read something here. What would GDOE get guidance from public health on guidelines on providing hard copy lessons? We need to be real that there are parents who don't have internet service.
Right. So as part of the online planning, we are of course going to have to tackle and figure out the internet access question as well. But we are currently asking for guidance and working with public health on three things actually. Number one is to ensure that we are able to start up our food distribution, which we hope to start starting on a Monday, which is August 31st, and do it. And with that, that's the commodity distribution, where we are going to be working with mayors through their villages to push the food commodities out to their residents. So we're putting together a schedule of the mayor's offices, the times of distribution. It should operate throughout the week and give more opportunities for residents to go and pick up food commodities. So if we get that clear to go, then we'll be starting that next week. We're also working on getting clearance with regard to the hard copy distribution. I think they just required us to submit a plan for them to review and approve. So we're working to get that done. And then the third item is that, with the ongoing pandemic and shutdown, there is still some business that needs to get done, including a lot of procurement, which is really the purchasing of more laptops, the purchasing of more technology, things that are in the mix that we still need to do. So we're looking at even doing curbside headquarters operations to the extent that we need to enable business to continue. So we are working closely with public health on all three areas to try not to disrupt our operations.
Does that emergency food distribution, that's separate from grab and go, right?
Right. The food distribution is what we were doing at Teton and at Dedido Farmers Market, where we were just sending out bags. Yeah, that's the program
Right.
we're restarting. But instead of two locations, what we wanted to do was work with the mayors to do a distribution around the island on a village by village basis, so that we could focus on distributing the the bags of commodities, and the mayor's offices would take the responsibility for the distribution.
What about grab and
we
go?
appreciate their help. Excuse me?
Grab and go, are you guys going to restart that? I know that last time we spoke, you were mentioning about this Friday mass
Right.
distribution.
So same situation. It probably won't happen this Friday, but we're looking to start that the week after, working with Sodexo, our food contractor, and looking at a once a week distribution on Fridays. That would happen at every school. That's the plan.
Wow.
So we were hoping to start this Friday, but now that we're in this pandemic situation, we wanted to hold off until we had an all clear to move forward.
So what if this PCOR 1 or Super PCOR 1 is continued for 2 weeks? You're still going to do the grab and go?
Well, we know that the executive order, there would have to be an executive order to allow for it, or to at least give us the opportunity to do so. So we've been in contact with the general counsel's office at the governor's offices to let them know that we would like to continue these activities. And if the executive order would at least allow for us to do so, we would appreciate that support. So I know that they understand what our plans are, and hopefully there will be language there. Even if it requires us to get public health approval, as long as we are able to do something to make it happen, we think that the food support and the hard copy distribution for sure are things that we want to move forward in this situation.
So you're going into 2 weeks of remote learning. Have you gotten any feedback from parents on how that's been going?
Absolutely, and next week and beginning next week, we're going to get even more. So we do, we do have a lot of calls and a lot of anecdotal information regarding how things are going, and it's probably, I think for the most part, it's probably a mixed bag. A lot of anxiety and uncertainty about what would happen during the first weeks, but and also some surprise that some of those, some of the experiences went so well. I think it just depends on what parents were coming in expecting. But we do know that in this early launch, there's going to be a lot of room for improvement and adjustment. So what we did was we sent out a press release, and we're working with our island-wide PTOs to start up with some parent outreach next week. So 4 days of the week, starting August 31st, we'll be reaching out in the evenings through Zoom to welcome parents regionally. We're going to do North, Central, and South, and we're going to also split it up by elementary and secondary. So we plan to have 4 meetings next week, and then the week after, 4 more meetings, including one dedicated to our families of students in the special education program.
Where are we with the IEPs, John? I've heard from a couple, and I don't know if it's just individual case by case, but that some students with special needs have not gotten their individual education plans yet.
Well, that, part of that is just, scheduling that opportunity in the early weeks of school or prior to the school year starting, and some of that has taken place. But as you can imagine, with the face-to-face situation being face-to-face option being removed, and now the fact that we can't have people on campus, it's been harder to do. And so I do know that virtual IEP meetings are taking place, but that's really been the challenge, to get everybody together, schedule something virtually versus in person, and try to make those meetings happen. In addition to that, early on, we were talking about IEPs where we could accommodate students by allowing them more opportunities to come to school face to face, which is what we were being requested by some of our special education families. Now that that option's off the table, we have to go back and say, how can we do this? How can we operate while we're stuck at home? And that's been another exercise and challenge that we've had to get through.
What about I asked about feedback from parents, but what about from teachers? Because they're having to change up how they're teaching children these days, and I know just based on experience that these teachers are not just working the normal, like 8 to 5, right? Because they're probably getting emails late at night, and they're also sending emails late at night to parents. So how are they dealing, and how are they coping with this?
Well, as you can imagine, the teachers, I mean, you had teachers were getting ready for face-to-face instruction. You had teachers getting ready for hard copy, and then you had our online. Some are doing multiple platforms just to get the school year started. So they're caught up in the middle of not just having to juggle the manner in which they're delivering instruction, but also dealing with the fact that I believe we're up to about 15 employees at Guam DOE who've tested positive. So in addition to making those early week adjustments and adjusting to the shutdown, we're getting a lot of concerns about the safety at being at the school facilities. So I think there's a lot of relief at this point from the teachers who are able to now work at home. And the challenge right now is to make sure that we can continue continue to do our work even without physically being at the facilities. So just a lot of adjustment, a lot of change, a lot of anxiety, and we just encourage everybody to anticipate that things may be unpredictable for the next few weeks, for the next few months, but that we're always going to put safety first for our employees and our students. And we're very glad that they've been working together to try to keep everybody calm and moving forward, even in light of the fact that we don't always have all the answers, going forward. So we are working to continue the work for our students, but keeping our teachers and our staff safe in light of the current PCOR 1 situation.
Right. Yeah, and just really just a kudos to all the teachers, not just at GDOE, but everywhere else on this island, because like you said, they're not only educating our children, trying to change this up as we move into, or as we navigate distance learning, but also having to deal with issues that are happening in their own personal lives and inside their homes. So thank you to
Yeah,
all
no,
of them.
absolutely. Again, and you're right. This is for every school, charter, private, public. We're all trying to do our best to make the adjustments in these early weeks. And it's hard to tell what the next day will hold. I think this last week showed us, the different situations that could occur in the course of 7 days, and we've had to continue to adapt. I think there are some who might say, well, why don't we just give up on this school year and just wait till next or wait till
Yeah.
January? But on the other hand, we do know that our kids need to continue learning in some form or fashion. We want to provide them some type of continuous and stable support, and we want to do that to the best that we can. So we're going to keep working at it and doing our best to adapt to the public health constraints. And I'm glad we have a good team all the way down into the school level of people who are focused on problem solving. So we look forward to the parents again next week and the week after, giving us their constructive, we hope, constructive criticism as well as ideas. And the parents who reached out to us do know and have recognized the challenge. And I believe that a lot of them would just want to, provide their comments, their experiences, and suggestions for making things work more smoothly. And we have to be an organization that's ready to make those adjustments if it'll improve, what we're doing during this COVID-19 school year.
So just for clarification, face-to-face discontinued until further notice, the hard copy distribution discontinued until further notice, and then everybody right now remote learning.
Right, we're working on hard copies. I know there's been some discussion because of the board meeting. There was some discussion about potentially canceling the face-to-face option for the rest of the semester at least. So we did say, look, it's going to depend on how our public health situation develops. But at some point, I did agree with the board that we can't make decisions to go one model to another model on a weekly basis. We have to, provide some stable plan of action. So that might become an option depending on how long the PCOR 1 situation lasts.
Well, we're looking. What if it's extended for another 2 weeks, which it kind of looks like is going to happen?
Yeah. By that time, I think we'll have a better picture of our laptop distribution potential as well as the hard copy distribution. So we might be able to make a better decision as we get close, in a couple of weeks. We might be able to call it. It just depends on the nature of the public health situation and our ability to deliver on the other two models.
The Soup, just wanted to congratulate you, as we know the board just voted to extend your contract through 2025. So you're going to continue to lead the department for the next 5 years. How key was this in cementing this as we're in the midst of this pandemic and kind of putting that part of, your contract and what's going to happen with your service to the department, being able to just put that away?
Well, I think the extension, and I want to thank the board, just for their confidence in continuing my leadership there. And of course, for me, it means just a lot more work, a lot more stress, and hopefully a lot more progress as we go along. But ultimately, I certainly didn't want to see this happen in the middle of a school year, one way or the other, that it'd be distracting us from the other hard work that we need to do, that we know we're going to need to do during the midst of this COVID-19 year. So I just suggested, I said, look, I'm going to go ahead and let you know that, we ought to have this discussion now. Hopefully we can settle the discussion now so that we don't have to worry about this in the middle of the school year, whether it's renewing the contract or looking for another superintendent. This is going to be a challenging year in and of itself. So I think the board agreed that they wanted to take action now and allow us to get back to work focused on making things happen for our school children this year.
Well, we had a comment, John, and I'm not sure if you addressed this, but again, to just kind of snapshot some of the realities that we're dealing with, and I'm sure you're very familiar. We have a comment from Yoli talking about families that need internet. Some pockets are really remote. I've seen homes of my students that don't even have indoor plumbing. I'm curious how GDOE will address internet sourcing. And I know we've discussed this before, right? I feel like we discussed it a couple months ago.
No, it's again, our plan was to deliver 3 options because we know that our families are in different situations. So we had hoped the face-to-face and hard copy distribution would be available to families who are unable to move into online immediately. And we were looking at a January timeline of getting more equipment in, preparing our parents and schools to distribute more laptops and to deal with internet access around that same time frame. With the current situation, all of those plans are accelerated. And so instead of looking until January, we're looking at the next couple of weeks to begin, phase one of that distribution. So in line with the laptop and tablet discussion is going to be looking at solutions for internet access for our students. And we've discussed, I think, on this show, options for looking at, opening up our school campuses, our school parking lots for Wi-Fi access, as well as Wi-Fi access at community facilities in the villages. And then, of course, looking at what the options would be for household internet access. So those three things will be on the table for our discussions these next couple of weeks.
And these things would all
Parking lot classrooms?
You know how the hotspots at facilities go.
Yeah.
We want to say if there are people who want to come by and we're able to provide it at our school facilities, we're looking at opening up cafeterias so that we can safely welcome students. If they want to stay in their cars and have access just so they can work on their laptops or something, that would be an option we're looking at. I think the school bus option of parking a hotspot school bus out in an area of need.
Wow.
Those are the ideas we're kind of working through to see what's possible. And again, instead of having a few months, we're moving this into a rapid decision-making process so we can get going.
crisis management. John, these things you're talking about with the internet access, would they be covered under the CARES Act funding?
Yes, I mean, depending what it is, but yes, that was the intent. Right now we focus a lot on the PPEs and getting those in. We have existing orders of laptops coming in, and we have an ongoing procurement for more. So it's very important, and that's why I raised the issue of procurement. We can't stop some of these processes from moving forward,
Right.
Because they're going to be crucial to not just the public schools, but our private and charter schools as well.
Right, and we have a comment here from Julie. Hopefully there's an opportunity to create partnerships with internet carriers to improve and provide services to all students. I have your solution, John. You're welcome. No procurement necessary. Our local telecoms step up, provide the Wi-Fi zones for free, and reap the positive results and the positive association.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. So we'll give you all the credit, Chris.
Thanks, John. Hey, and if you do that whole Wi-Fi zone of the school, I bet the house across the street's going to be loving that, right?
Yeah. Well, we hope they have students over there. So.
Right on, John. Bree, you good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks, John.
Yeah, thank you, John, and
All right,
we'll see you next Wednesday, if not sooner. We don't like to see you sooner because that means bad things are happening, but if we do, we'll put in the call. Okay, thanks, John.
All right.
Take care.
Wash your hands. All right, 8:49. We'll take a quick break, and we're coming back. Let's go flip it over to the Catholic schools here with Super.